Have you ever wondered why certain social quirks seem to appear more often as people age? Why does a simple chat in a quiet room sometimes turn into an unintentional announcement? And what if these moments, rather than being just awkward, actually reveal something deeper about the way we age? Those small habits, the slightly louder voice, the familiar story told again, or a question that feels just a bit too personal, often go unmentioned out of politeness. Yet behind them lies a more profound truth about the aging process and subtle changes in social dynamics. This isn't about pointing fingers, but about understanding the reasons behind these behaviors, recognizing age-related changes, and fostering empathy in our interactions with older adults. By learning to notice and appreciate these nuances, you can strengthen relationships and gain a richer perspective on the complex, beautiful journey of aging. Unintentionally loud talking is one example. As hearing naturally declines, a condition known as presbycusis, older individuals may not accurately gauge their own voice level, leading them to speak louder than intended. In quiet settings like cozy restaurants, libraries, or waiting rooms, this volume can disrupt the atmosphere, draw unwanted attention, or make others feel uneasy. A well-meaning conversation about a recent event might suddenly dominate the space, with the speaker unaware their voice carries far beyond the intended listener. Hearing difficulties can make someone unaware of just how loud they've become, which only adds to the social tension for everyone present. Another common behavior is repetitive storytelling. Sharing stories is a beautiful way to connect, passing down wisdom, stirring laughter, or revisiting cherished memories. Yet some older adults may unintentionally tell the same story, word for word, to the same audience within a short span of time. This can happen for many reasons: memory lapses, a strong emotional tie to the event, or simply the comfort of reliving a meaningful moment. While the story might hold deep significance for the speaker, listeners who have already heard it may feel unsure how to react. Do they pretend it's new, or gently acknowledge they've heard it before? This quiet uncertainty can disrupt the natural flow of conversation and create an undercurrent of discomfort. Then there's the tendency to overshare medical details. Talking about health challenges is natural, especially with age, but sometimes these conversations slip into unsolicited, overly vivid descriptions of procedures or bodily functions. Imagine a friendly chat suddenly shifting to a detailed account of a recent surgery or digestive problem. It can catch listeners off guard, leaving them unsure how to respond with empathy while still feeling comfortable. While the speaker might be seeking understanding or validation, the graphic nature of these details can feel inappropriate in casual or public settings, often placing others in the difficult position of balancing compassion with their own unease, can interrupt the natural flow of conversation. Another challenge many face is difficulty with technology. In today's fast-moving digital world, smartphones, computers, streaming platforms, and even smart home devices are part of everyday life. Yet some older adults may struggle to adapt, leading to moments of visible frustration or confusion. Picture trying to send a text, join a video call, or order from a restaurant's digital menu, only to need help from someone nearby. While assistance is often offered kindly, it can unintentionally spotlight these struggles. Some accept help with gratitude, but others may feel embarrassed, defensive, or dismissive, seeing technology as more trouble than it's worth. And if the helper grows impatient, the tension only deepens, turning a simple task into a socially uncomfortable moment that highlights the generational gap. Then there's the issue of forgetting names. Memory slips can happen to anyone, especially when distracted or stressed. But when it happens often with familiar people, neighbors, friends, co-workers, even family, it can create repeated awkward situations. Imagine greeting your longtime neighbor, but calling her Susan when her name is Sarah, or being in a meeting and referring to a colleague simply as "you there," because their name won't come to mind. These moments may seem small, but they can leave a lasting impression, subtly affecting relationships and social ease. Or using an entirely wrong name can leave the other person feeling overlooked or undervalued, even when it's purely accidental. While these lapses are often the result of cognitive overload or natural age-related memory changes, they can still spark awkwardness. The person who forgot may quickly sense the discomfort they've caused, leading to feelings of embarrassment or self-consciousness. Over time, this fear of repeating the mistake can make them avoid social situations altogether. Such incidents can also strain relationships if the forgotten person views the lapse as a sign of disinterest or disrespect, especially in cultures where remembering names is a mark of care and attentiveness. While a single slip is easily forgiven, a consistent pattern may create the impression of disengagement, making it harder to maintain warm, trusting connections. Simple strategies like using mnemonic devices, acknowledging the lapse with lighthearted honesty, or keeping a written list of names can help maintain rapport. Another potential pitfall is outdated or inappropriate humor. Humor can break the ice, build bonds, and lighten the atmosphere, but it's also shaped by the cultural and social norms of its time. What once drew laughs decades ago may now be seen as awkward or even offensive. An older adult relying on humor rooted in past eras risks causing discomfort in today's settings. For example, a quip about women belonging in the kitchen might have earned chuckles in the 1970s, but would likely meet silence, raised eyebrows, or disapproval at a modern family dinner or workplace gathering. Similarly, certain jokes that were once widely accepted may now be considered insensitive, creating an unintentional rift instead of connection. Relies on racial, ethnic, or cultural stereotypes, or makes light of sensitive topics such as mental health, disability, or economic struggles, can quickly alienate listeners in today's climate of inclusivity and respect. The aftermath of such a misstep can be significant. A poorly received joke might result in an awkward pause, leaving others to decide whether to offer a polite chuckle, change the subject, or address the comment directly. In some situations, it may even spark heated exchanges, especially if younger or more socially aware individuals feel the need to call out the insensitivity. Imagine an older relative at a holiday dinner sharing a lighthearted story that depends on outdated racial stereotypes, unaware that it offends a younger family member who values diversity and inclusion. The resulting tension can derail the warmth of the gathering, leaving the joke teller feeling confused, defensive, or even ostracized for not keeping up with evolving norms. Over time, repeated use of outdated humor can reinforce the impression of being out of touch, deepening the generational divide and making genuine connection more difficult. To avoid this, it can help to observe modern comedic styles, seek feedback from younger, trusted friends, or pause to consider whether a joke aligns with the audience's values before sharing. Another common challenge is resisting new ideas or change. The world is constantly evolving, with new technologies, shifting cultural norms, and innovative approaches transforming how we live, work, and connect. While many see these changes as opportunities to grow, some older adults strongly resist adopting new tools, perspectives, or methods, which can create social friction. This resistance might show up as refusing to use smartphones or digital platforms, dismissing inclusive language as unnecessary, or rejecting updated workplace processes in favor of how it's always been done. For example, an older colleague who refuses to adapt to a new digital scheduling system may unintentionally slow progress, frustrating those who rely on collaboration and efficiency. An older family member might insist on navigating with a paper map during a road trip, openly criticizing younger relatives for depending on GPS, or a senior colleague might dismiss a new software tool in favor of manual spreadsheets, even when it slows down the team. Such resistance can deepen the generational divide, creating a perception of stubbornness or rigidity that makes collaboration challenging. Younger individuals, who often see change as a natural part of progress, may feel dismissed or undervalued when their ideas face skepticism or outright rejection. On the other hand, The older individual might feel alienated in a world that seems to value speed and constant innovation over familiarity and tradition. In social settings, this clash can spark awkward disagreements, with debates over technology or cultural shifts overshadowing opportunities for mutual understanding. For instance, at a community meeting, a senior resident's strong opposition to a new recycling program might frustrate younger advocates, creating tension that lingers. Over time, reluctance to adapt can lead to isolation, making it harder to connect with those who embrace change. Bridging this gap requires patience, open-mindedness, and a willingness to blend traditional wisdom with modern approaches to foster inclusive dialogue. Another behavior that can create discomfort is asking overly personal or invasive questions. Social boundaries differ across cultures, generations, and individual preferences, but certain subjects, like romantic relationships, finances, health, or family planning, are typically private unless offered willingly. Some older adults, shaped by different generational norms or driven by genuine curiosity, may ask questions that younger people perceive as too personal or intrusive, unintentionally causing awkwardness or tension in the conversation. These moments can quickly create discomfort or awkwardness. At a family reunion, for instance, an older aunt might ask a young adult, "Why aren't you married yet?" or inquire about their salary in front of others, unaware that these questions are now considered sensitive. In another setting, a casual get-together might take an uncomfortable turn when an older acquaintance probes into a couple's choice not to have children or asks about a recent medical procedure, without realizing such topics are best left for the person to share voluntarily. Though often well-intentioned, these questions can leave the other person feeling exposed, judged, or pressured to reveal more than they wish. The awkwardness might surface as evasive answers, nervous laughter, or a quick change of subject, signals the questioner may not even notice. In some cases, these exchanges can strain relationships, especially if the younger individual feels their privacy was invaded, or if the topic touches on something deeply personal, like infertility, financial hardship, or a recent breakup. The older person, meanwhile, may be puzzled by the reaction, especially if their generation viewed such inquiries as normal expressions of interest or care. Cultural differences can further complicate matters. What's seen as a polite question in one community may be considered intrusive in another. Navigating this requires sensitivity, an awareness of conversational norms, and a willingness to respect boundaries. While older adults can pause to consider whether a question fits today's standards, younger people can use tactful redirection, such as, "I'd rather not get into that, but tell me about your recent trip," to keep the exchange warm and avoid conflict. Another behavior that can quietly push others away is unsolicited advice. While it often comes from a genuine desire to help or improve someone's situation, the persistent habit of offering advice on everything from career choices and finances to parenting styles and personal matters can wear thin over time. Lifestyle choices can sometimes create more tension than connection. Even when advice is meant to help, it can feel condescending, overbearing, or even judgmental, implying the other person isn't capable of managing their own life. Repeatedly offering suggestions like, "You should change your savings plan," or "Have you tried disciplining your kids this way?" without being asked can leave someone feeling undermined or overly scrutinized. Over time, this can breed resentment, as the advice giver may be seen as assuming a superior role, creating an awkward power imbalance. What started as care can slowly chip away at mutual respect and trust, turning conversations into lectures rather than collaborations. The key is to recognize when guidance is welcome, and to affirm the other person's independence and ability to make their own choices. Another subtle, yet impactful challenge is difficulty reading social cues. As cognitive processing changes with age, whether from natural aging, neurological conditions like dementia, or factors such as stress or sensory decline, it can become harder to interpret the small, unspoken signals that keep conversations flowing smoothly. These include body language, like someone turning away to show disinterest, facial expressions, such as a tight smile hinting at discomfort, or changes in tone, like a quieter voice showing hesitation or a sharper one signaling frustration. When these cues are missed or misunderstood, responses can feel out of place. It might be laughing during a serious moment, continuing to talk when others have checked out, or not noticing someone's discomfort and failing to shift the topic. Such moments can lead to awkward silences, unintended offense, or a sense of disconnect, leaving the entire interaction feeling just a little out of sync. For example, someone might eagerly share a story without realizing that crossed arms and averted eyes from their listeners signal disinterest, creating an awkward moment for everyone. Over time, these misunderstandings can chip away at relationships. Others may find it harder to connect genuinely, while the individual feels increasingly isolated or misunderstood. Sensitivity to these challenges, along with patience from others, can help ease the discomfort and build more inclusive communication. Another behavior that can quietly strain relationships is clinginess or overdependence. This happens when someone seeks an excessive amount of attention, emotional support, or practical help, especially for tasks or decisions they are still fully capable of handling themselves. It may stem from anxiety about losing independence, fear of being alone, a need for constant reassurance, or a lack of confidence in one's abilities. Signs might include frequent calls or texts for companionship, repeated requests for help with routine chores, or seeking validation for small decisions like what to wear or how to respond to an email. While it's natural to lean on others occasionally, an ongoing imbalance can leave friends, family, or caregivers feeling drained, frustrated, or even resentful. For instance, insisting that a family member accompany them to every social gathering, despite being capable of going alone, can create tension. Loved ones may struggle with how to encourage independence without appearing dismissive. This delicate balance between offering help and honoring autonomy is key to keeping relationships healthy, mutual, and free from the discomfort that overdependence can bring. One particularly awkward and often hurtful behavior is speaking about someone as if they aren't even there. This can happen when discussing their health, memory, emotional state, or personal choices without directly involving them. It's common in places like medical appointments, family gatherings, or caregiving discussions, where others might say to a doctor, "He's been forgetting his appointments lately," while the person sits silently beside them. Or during a group conversation, someone might remark, "She can't handle stairs anymore," without even acknowledging her presence. Such moments can feel deeply dehumanizing. They strip away a person's voice, reduce their sense of agency, and make them feel like a passive subject rather than an active participant. The atmosphere quickly becomes uncomfortable. Those present might sense the inappropriateness but not know how to steer the discussion. Over time, this habit can chip away at trust and emotional closeness, leaving the individual feeling undervalued or invisible. The simple fix? Speak to them, not about them. Involve them in conversations that concern their life, affirming their dignity and presence. Another subtle yet telling behavior is wearing clothing that's noticeably outdated or mismatched for the occasion. Personal style is a wonderful form of self-expression, shaped by culture, personality, and treasured memories. But when clothing choices are far removed from modern norms or unsuitable for the setting, they can unintentionally draw attention in ways that make social interactions more awkward. Wearing clothing that feels noticeably out of step with the occasion can unintentionally draw unwanted attention and create an awkward atmosphere. Imagine someone arriving in a brightly colored tracksuit straight out of the 1980s, or wearing a formal evening gown to a casual coffee shop. While the choice might stem from comfort, nostalgia, or even a quiet statement against modern trends, in settings where there's an unspoken dress code, like professional workplaces, social gatherings, or community events, the contrast can feel jarring. The awkwardness often comes from others not knowing how to react. Should they say something, ignore it, or subtly adjust their own behavior? For the wearer, it might be nothing more than a personal preference, but the disconnect with the surroundings can unintentionally create a sense of distance and social tension. Another challenging situation arises when someone becomes easily confused or disoriented in places they've known for years. Navigating familiar environments, whether it's home, work, the neighborhood, or a favorite cafe, usually happens without a second thought. But when a person momentarily forgets the layout of their own kitchen, struggles to recognize a longtime colleague, or appears lost on the way to a well-known spot, it can be unsettling for everyone involved. Observers may feel torn between wanting to offer help and worrying that calling attention to it might cause embarrassment. That hesitation, mixed with concern, can heighten the awkwardness, especially if the confusion lingers or happens more frequently. When episodes of confusion in familiar settings happen repeatedly, those around may begin to quietly worry about the person's cognitive or emotional well-being. Yet many feel unsure how to raise the concern without appearing intrusive or judgmental. The unpredictability of these moments can replace the usual sense of ease with a cautious atmosphere, where friends, colleagues, or family tread lightly to avoid making the situation worse. Over time, frequent lapses can carry broader social consequences, as loved ones struggle to balance genuine concern with respect for independence, deepening the awkwardness in their interactions. Another source of tension comes from behaviors that were once socially acceptable but no longer align with modern standards. Social norms shift constantly, shaped by cultural changes, greater awareness, and evolving values around inclusivity and respect. A phrase or term of endearment that was once warmly received might now feel patronizing, especially in professional or diverse settings. Similarly, gestures like unsolicited hugs, shoulder pats, or jokes built on stereotypes, common in earlier decades, can now spark discomfort or even disapproval. When someone continues these habits, whether from nostalgia, long-standing custom, or simply not realizing times have changed, it can lead to uncomfortable moments. Those witnessing it may feel torn between speaking up, which risks confrontation, or staying silent and letting the awkwardness linger. Remaining silent can sometimes feel like quietly allowing the behavior to continue. In group settings, outdated habits can interrupt the natural flow of conversation, creating a subtle but unmistakable discomfort among those sensitive to today's standards of etiquette and inclusivity. For the person displaying these behaviors, the absence of immediate feedback can make it harder to recognize the need for change, allowing awkward interactions to repeat over time. This gap between past and present norms can put strain on relationships, distance friends, and even affect professional connections as others struggle to balance respect with the need for more appropriate conduct. It's a reminder of how important it is to stay aware of evolving cultural expectations so we can build mutual understanding and harmony in today's diverse social world. Wishing you good health, happiness, and peace, and remember to subscribe to my Healthy Aging Blueprint channel.